they do to bring their students over here to just see where their food comes from. And it's always a lot of fun, and they look forward to it every year. So I just want to thank Jim and Carrie Smith, who and the harbor staff, harbor crew, personnel, harbor master crew, for being involved and just doing a great job of giving a tour and talking about the harbor and the fishing season and our fishing industry. It was really great this year. So I just want to thank Jim. Jim, if you can thank everyone, that'd be great, because I know it's a program that the students look forward to every year, and I'm glad we're able to continue it.
All right, and my comment is I was in Washington, D.C. this past week up on Capitol Hill, and I spoke to a few California legislators trying to drum up additional support for our WRDA, and it was pretty uniform that they said, well, if Anna would like support on this, have her call us. So we forwarded that information. I sent everything to Jim, and we're working on a response to that. Go ahead.
One other thing, I just want to let everyone know that there were no other nominees for the position for the special district representative. So I was automatically reappointed, and I wanted to thank the board for their support.
All right. Now we're at the point of the meeting where it's activity reports. General Manager Pruitt, do you have anything to add to your report?
Well, there we go. Good afternoon or good morning, commissioners. No, nothing further to add besides the fact I'm down in San Diego now to attend the CMAC conference, which starts tonight.
Outstanding. Operations, Mr. Moran, do you have anything to add?
It's been pretty slow at Pillar Point Harbor due to a heavy fishing season right now, and the staff have taken that opportunity to completely replace 90% of the top boards to H-dock. So they've been doing significant dock maintenance at Pillar Point, doing a great job. In addition, doing all the lawn maintenance, making everything just look a little bit better, which is a lot of hard work, and they've just done an excellent job. Still hovering around 90% occupancy at Pillar Point Harbor. And as Commissioner Crawley mentioned, we are also doing several little tours of the harbor, and I'll have some more pictures in next month's activity where Carrie Smith and our training officer and Bobby Dunn have just recently hosted another elementary school teaching boater safety and teaching them how to properly wear the importance of life jackets and how to properly don the life jackets. So kids really enjoy. The pictures are excellent. And then at Oyster Point, they were very busy with the halibut and flounder, I guess. They had over 530 launches at the launch ramp this month, which is a lot. They're also right now at the highest occupancy during the last 10 years, maybe even further. We're 80% occupied, 81% occupied there. So the staff has been doing a great job. Harbor Master James Smith initiated discussion, which I supported. We were able to actually have South San Francisco put a little bit of advertisement for our dockage at Oyster Point in their publications. So, and their website. So that's potentially part of why our occupancy has also risen by James Smith's efforts. Staff at Oyster Point are also taking this opportunity to, led by largely the Harbor Master and Assistant Harbor Master Jacob Walding, They've been taking all the top boards off of the docks there, increasing the life and use of those docks substantially by removing all of the sediment and water that accumulated in the floats, lowering their freeboard and making them, making all the docks and finger piers at potentially unsafe angles by them doing their repair work. It's increasing the freeboard back to the original design and making them completely horizontal and flat, and safe to walk and more stable for people to tie their vessels to. They've been doing an excellent job there as well. Got really nothing further.
Right, well, halibut and striped bass is the main catch over there right now. Like you mentioned, the fishing regulations here is why there's so little activity out of Pillar Point Harbor. The rockfish boats for recreational are limited from 0 to 120 feet. There's a whole lot of ocean that we can't touch for a while. Administration and Finance Director.
Wait, I have a
Van
comment.
Hoff.
I have a
Do
comment.
you have anything to add?
I wanted to comment on John.
Okay, go ahead.
John, thanks for sorry, Julie. Thanks for adding this picture of the Oyster Point dragons. I think it's great. I hope that we can do a meeting there, have a meeting there. I know that they would love to come and show us their dragon boats. I mean, they love it out there, John, and they think that the staff does a great job in keeping things safe and clean. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I know the general manager is working to have a meeting over at South San Francisco, a meeting or two,
Yes.
making that a routine, I believe. But yeah, I did include some verbiage in there about the excellent work that the Oyster Point Dragons does with the local community, the children, and they talking with Shirley, who operates.
Yes, she's great.
Yeah, she's excellent, and she's been operating or been kind of the lead person
Yeah.
for the Oyster Point Dragons for several years now.
Yeah.
And we assist them any way we can at the board's direction. I know that you were on the board at that time, Commissioner Crawley. We did allow them to have a area that they can store their
Their boats,
equipment
yeah.
and do a little bit of training right around there. And also in some dead space, we allow them to keep their dragon boats in areas that no other, they're a nonprofit, and they're areas where no other boats, with a deeper draft could even use.
Yeah.
So it's not at any cost, obviously, to the district, but really supports their efforts. She did, last time I talked to her, just last week, she was talking about some of their students that went off to college and then now are working in the Bay Area have returned and are wanting to continue being involved in the dragon boats and the dragon boat races. There are races for children, as you see in that picture, where the kids at Lake Merced were able to actually win a bronze medal.
Yeah.
So there's competition for the kids, but there's also competitions for adults as well. A lot of the local businesses have teams of dragon boat racers, and they compete in the adult range. So they service and provide activity to a wide range of ages. It's an excellent effort. They are, like I say, they're very high demand. So they're wanting to potentially expand a little bit. So she may be putting together a little proposal to use some more dead space that we've got available, because they may want to increase the number of boats.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, proceeding with Administrative Finance Director Van Hoffs. Do you have anything to add or comment on?
President Matoush, we expect to be complete with the public records request that we've had on the activity report, and hopefully that will come off next month. Staff's working really hard on the additional implementation of functionality. We have a completely paper HR system right now, And we had 2 meetings with Tyler Tech Consultants to add some functionality to our ERP system to get the HR functions incorporated into that. And the finance group, they just went through preliminary testing of our internal controls for this next fiscal year audit. So those are kind of some of the key things that we're working on right now. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Julie, under financial for your second bullet point, you have continued addressing Oyster Cove Marina berthers overdue accounts and unauthorized liveaboards. I mean, how many are we talking about here? And how much, I didn't see, maybe it's in here, but I didn't see, like in terms of the money amount and how long have we been dealing with these issues? Because this is something
That over to Rochelle.
This was an issue that we were concerned about when the Oyster Cove the issue came before us. When some of the residents, the liveaboards were displaced. But I don't know how extensive the financial issues are.
At this point, I'd have to look at the spreadsheet to give you an exact head count, but just really between the efforts of the finance team and Harbor Master Smith, we've really dwindled down those Oyster Cove guest tenants that
Yeah.
kind of have persisted or are behind. I think we're just about to 3 or 4 boats at this point
Okay. How many total are there now?
that have stayed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to give you that information without kind of digging through
Okay.
that. I can send you an email.
Yeah, I would love to understand that. I mean, if the number is decreasing, that's good. But this was something that we were concerned about when
Sure.
the issue first came up.
Right. And so there have been great progress and a lot of the folks that came over from Oyster Cove as well have then been able to not be liveaboards, but they are new tenants for us, which we
Good.
appreciate
That's what we want to.
having them, join us there at Oyster Point. So I can look and give you a summary of exactly where we're at with them, but it gets better and better each month.
Okay, so
Just to a few that are really concentrated on by our legal team.
well, I mean, I'm wondering if we should include this in the next activity report, whatever information you
Sure.
because I don't think we've had any real update on all of this since the beginning of, when they were here a few years ago, asking for, to be there. That'd be great to just give more of a detailed update on this issue.
Happy to.
I don't know what the board thinks, but
I think it'd be a good idea. I haven't heard anything recently either.
yeah, that's why I think it'd be good to give that update.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, let's do that.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the consent calendar. Does anybody wish to pull any items off of the consent calendar? I'd like to pull item 7. Motion to approve. Any others? Anybody else want to pull any items? 7.
Yeah, I was gonna,
Okay, I will make a motion that we approve items 1 through 6 and 8 through 10 of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Zemke, President Mathush,
Aye.
Engwell,
Aye.
Commissioner Dommer.
Aye.
All right, that takes us on to discussion items. Item G1, consider increase to rates and fees effective July 1st. Director of Finance, Dan Hoff, this is your item.
Morning, President Mathush, Commissioners. This item was first talked about at our last meeting. The proposal is to increase all of the district's rates and fees by 3.7%, which is equal to the consumer price index increase for the Bay Area. The attachments show the new rates and fees that would come about if the board approves the 3.7% today. This meeting was duly noticed and notification was sent to all the birthers. And we did receive one comment back. I believe that you have a copy of
Yes.
the,
I didn't, where is it?
In your, harbor email.
Oh, okay.
okay, so I can read that letter. It is from the commercial fishermen, asking that they not get that 3.7% increase. But assuming that we do approve it, our budget includes $138,000 for that increase in rates and fees. So if this isn't approved, then that number could change in our final budget, which will be presented on June 12th. So let me get to that one comment. Was this posted online, Melanie?
Want me to forward it to you?
It's posted online with the agenda.
Okay. Yeah.
Forward.
Right, okay. So the Half Moon Bay Seafood Marketing Association represents the active, productive, collaborative commercial fishermen working out of Pillar Point Harbor. We are writing to express opposition to the proposed fee increase of 3.7% for the commercial fleet and related businesses within the San Mateo County Harbor District. We are troubled by the implications of such an increase, particularly as it appears out of touch with the significant challenges our industry has been facing. The complete closure of the salmon season in California in 2023 was a profound blow to our industry, and we are facing the same for 2024. While the fleet is grateful that a federal disaster has been declared for 2023, this will not make up for the losses. According to the California Department of Fish and Game, losses were estimated at $45 million, and just $20.6 million of the $35.2 million requested was allocated for all sectors. This would cover 67% of the average estimated loss, according to the Department of Fish and Game, leaving many fishermen without adequate support. Most commercial salmon fishermen, 58% statewide, will receive only $739.50 as their total disaster relief as a reimbursement for the permit fees they paid in 2023. So far, no funds have been distributed, and there is uncertainty surrounding relief for 2024. With the crab season closed 3 months early and no salmon season, there are very limited revenue generating fishing opportunities for the remainder of 2024. Dungeness crab fishing has also been challenging. The statutory season for California commercial Dungeness crab is 7.5 months long. However, in 2024, the season was open for just 80 days, and vessels were able to use only half of their allocated and paid for gear. This equates to an 80% decrease in harvest opportunities compared to a typical full season with full gear. Furthermore, in 2024, crab prices to vessels hit their lowest point in 20 years, while fuel, bait, and other operating expenses were at an all-time high. So while there was Dungeness crab harvested earlier this year, this provided minimal economic relief to fishermen and related businesses. Overall, things are very precarious for those reliant on fishing for their livelihoods. It's disheartening that while other harbors are implementing measures to support the commercial fishermen during these challenging times, the San Mateo County Harbor District is considering increasing costs. This decision seems out of touch with the realities faced by our community and may further strain the already struggling fishing industry. Given these circumstances, we urge the San Mateo County Harbor District to reconsider the proposed fee increase. And it's signed by Frank Sousa Jr., who is president of the Half Moon Bay Seafood Marketing Association. And so last year, there was a 5.6% CPI increase on our rates and fees, but we only did half of that, 2.6% increase for slip fees across the board. And that was at the direction of the Harbor Commission. So that was something that decreased the rates of the commercial fishermen. Currently, they're getting a 15% decrease on all of the slip fees. And so I'll turn that over to the board for further discussion.
Any comments?
So, I didn't get the letter, but that's because I'm not really checking my Harbor Board email as much. I am concerned with the issues that they've outlined in terms of not getting federal relief, but I'm also very sensitive to the fact that we did kind of meet them halfway last year when we were dealing, not them, but just in general across the board. Not doing the full, not increasing by the full CPI amount. I don't know. I mean, I think we're kind of in a conundrum right now because we have all these projects that we want to do, some of which are not fully funded. And if we don't move forward with things, then there are complaints that, things aren't getting done. I mean, so, but then we're dealing with an economic reality here where the salmon season has been completely lost and the crab season was cut short. I don't know. Is this something that we should discuss with our commercial fishing fleet, Jim, to see what we can do to support them as well? I mean, I've always had a heartache over some of this because I want to support them as well because they do bring in money, but at the same time, with all of these other regulations and externalities, we're not getting the revenue that, maybe we need also from the fishing fleet, which is no fault of ours or theirs, to be honest with you. But I just don't know what we can do to support them right now. And I want to do that.
We can meet with them this year. We met with them last year and took into consideration all their input. And at the bottom line of their input was any increase in cost hurts their bottom line and hurts their industry and their livelihood. The increase in slip fees by 3.7% is not a significant amount of money overall. We're not talking hundreds of dollars a month, but it's an increase, and everything else is increasing, so it just adds to it. We reached out to other harbors and to see what they're doing, and we have not received any input from other harbors on what they're doing to help the fishing fleet. Last year, we were aware of free berthing for fishing out of Noyo River, but that came down to the county issuing a grant to the port to pay for the fishermen's slip fees. Once the grant from the county ran out, the slip fees were reinstated against the fishing vessels, not against the grant. San Mateo County has not issued a similar grant for Pillar Point Harbor. And I don't know of any discussion at the county level of issuing issuing a grant this year. So we can talk to, feedback is always great, but I think we'll get the same feedback we got before. And it's pretty much captured in a letter from the Half Moon Bay Seafood Marketing Association. That being said, our funds are running in the negative with our capital improvement projects. We are doing capital improvement projects, so that's funds going down, and our cost for operating is going up equally with inflation. So it is a balancing act, but at the end of the day, I do want to support the fishermen as much as I can. But the Harbor District also has to support the harbor and make sure the harbor remains safe and viable for the future.
Back of the envelope here says, if we went up 3.7%, I'm guessing the average slip would increase about $14.80. Went up 2%, it'd be $8 a month. But neither one of those come near what our latest labor contracts were.
Correct.
On the reimbursement side of the things for the federal reimbursement, the highest boat in the Bay Area is going to get $319,000 free and clear. So I don't have how it breaks down as it comes down towards the salmon and the crab. Well, crab wouldn't matter because there's a salmon incident.
Yeah.
But I'm open to some proposals here. You want to go 2.5%?
Well, wait, how are you getting the 300? I don't, help me understand the $319,000.
That's the federal reimbursement, boats local. No, that's for one boat.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
They're
it's
going
not-
to.
Okay.
Can I just add just one bit of information? Last year, we divided in half the increase for all of our slip fees. This is just talking about commercial fishing vessels. And currently there's about 70 commercial fishermen that are receiving a discount, a 15% discount. It's approximately $33,000 in revenues. Their 15% discount is about $4,000 in discounted fees. So I just wanted to give you that matrix. And if we decide to do something for only commercial fishermen, I would request that we increase their discount as opposed to changing all the slip fees or having two different rates for commercial fishermen and the rest of the berthers.
We have another chance to do this next month, right? Before we
I'm
just wondering if this should go back to the finance committee for us to talk it
It's
through.
already been published and it's already been discussed.
Not with this new letter, though. Yeah, go on, Chad. I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, if we're not getting revenues and we're charging, then at some point, there's going to be a tipping point. And when, you know, where one of our major economic drivers is not just going to struggle and maybe leave or be eliminated, which is, I know sounds drastic, but it's just a gradual thing, because we've also discussed automatically renewing an increase at the CPI level pretty much every year, in which I'm not now looking at this since we've talked about it before. I'm not necessarily in favor of that right now. I would rather have us discuss it in relation to the bigger macroeconomic picture, and especially for the fishing fleet. But I don't know, Tom, I mean, we can come up with a proposal, but I would want to talk to the commercial fishing, well, Frank Souza and the Half Moon Bay Seafood Marketing Association folks. I just don't want us to price them out, and I get that we can increase the discount. I'm not saying that we shouldn't charge these fees. I'm really stuck right now. That's why I just would rather have another meeting and talk with them more directly. Because the $319,000 per boat or for that one
No, it's
season.
just for the top one.
Right, yeah, but how many top boats are there that
I
are
don't
gonna
have
get through?
I don't know.
Right, and so that's, anyway, I don't feel like I have the full picture, right? I didn't get the letter, so this is why I'm probably a little flummoxed and indecisive right now. George, you wanted to say something?
No, I kind of feel the same way, and I thought of the same alternative that maybe we leave that side and look at their discount rate. Maybe we change that discount rate for them. Percent discount or whatever, but the whole purpose of Pillow Point Harbor from its inception was a fishing harbor, and we don't want to ship all the fishing people out. So it's a real concern. I think over the next few years, we're going to see technological changes that will help them in some of the fishing. There's going to be some demonstrations next year on hookless crab traps and or other things that
Oh, you mean in the paper? Yeah.
lobster in Maine, it's other fishing in Europe. So there's technology coming, but it's not there yet. And these guys are suffering from that. So I would agree. I think there's maybe a little bit more discussion with a couple of the other options that we can have with the fishermen before we make the final decision. I kind of thought the same thing of maybe not changing it for the whole spectrum, but looking just at the discount rate for the commercial
I know,
side.
but at some point, though, it's gonna harm the harbor district if we continue to give a discount. Right, and there is a tipping point for both sides. Like I said, I didn't get the letter, so thanks for reading it, Julie, because this is. I don't know, I mean, so do you think we need to discuss this more, George? I mean, I feel the pain that we need the money too, right? But at the same time, I don't know, this commercial fishing industry we have to somehow support it. It's not like we haven't supported it. Let me make that very clear. I think we have supported it as much as we can, the industry. But if the seasons are not going to change and they're going to negatively impact the commercial fishing industry, then we need to have a much more holistic approach to this with them.
I don't know if there's any way to look into the future. Is there any ability to be optimistic about the salmon season for next year? I mean, I'm thinking about that as kind of more of a cash flow issue for fishermen, but is there a way
for
that,
us, right?
well, for both sides, but if we can look forward to saying, there's reasons to think the next few salmon seasons will be better. Is there a way we can kind of defer the increase for 6 months or a year to the time when they're going to be back in business?
We have to also put it in perspective. The commercial and the charter boat sector said they voluntarily did not want to fish this year.
Right,
So-
there is that too,
Yeah.
right? So there are externalities like what Tom mentioned
Yeah,
and regulations too, because parts of it, and Mother Nature, obviously, right? Because parts of the West Coast could fish, but it's just further south, they couldn't, right? And so those externalities are completely out of our control. And, you're right, Tom is right about, some of them have chosen not to fish in solidarity with other fishing.
so Oregon is gonna fish on California fish. California is not gonna fish on California fish by their agreement.
Agreement.
Pacific Fishery Management Council, the salmon setting the salmon season.
So this is, okay, so I don't know a lot of this. So this is what I'm saying is that maybe this requires further discussion with the Half Moon Bay Seafood, like immediately, as in next week. Because we can always have a special meeting to do this too. My whole thing is the things you're telling, I didn't even know about these agreements, right? And so that's an externality too, that they can control, right? Which affects their bottom line, the fishing, when I say their, I mean the commercial the fishing industries, but are in at Pillar Point Harbor, their bottom line and also our bottom line. But so I would like to hear their side of why their agreements are and how it would impact us, because I think that is a factor that I would consider when we deal with these increases.
Can I just add just
Yes.
one more?
Sorry, I didn't mean to Tyler, I was answering
Oh,
Tyler.
no, that's okay. I was doing math here. And so if we increase the commercial fishermen slip fees by 3.7, it also increases the 15%. So they get a little more of a discount also.
No, but not only in the dollar amount, but the 15% percentage is not changing, right? It's just the dollar amount because
dollar
the
amount,
increase is
yeah.
higher, therefore the dollar amount is gonna be higher, but the percentage is still the same. So let me make that very clear to everyone who's listening.
And so the differential between what we're getting now from the commercial fishermen per year, the other number was per month that I gave you, but per year is 350,000. With the increase, it's 364,000, or a $13,000 difference, which is $185.85 for each commercial fisherman for the year. So we're not talking a lot of money.
I know, but this seems like it's going to be a trend. And that's why I want to at least take a different approach and talk to them about like these agreements. I'd heard about that. It's been brought up before, but I didn't know about these agreements.
Well, so our fishermen can go
That's-
fish in Oregon if they want, and some of them have. So they're fishing on salmon in another area.
Right, so how many of them are, I mean, this is what I'm saying. These are the I would like to know. I want to know this information from them too. That's just my 2 cents. And I'm only,
President Matoush, if I can.
Sure.
Commissioner Chincarelli, I understand what you're saying, but not every vessel has an agreement to go fish up north. So it'd be difficult to compare and contrast fishing vessels that go north and fishing vessels that elect not to. Some vessels can, some vessels cannot. We do already give the fishermen 15% discount on their slip fees because they're commercial fishing vessels. And they'll continue to get that 15%. We're talking an increase of only $13 or $14 a month per vessel. So we're not talking, again, it's not a significant increase of $200 or $300 or even $100 a month. It's less than $20 a month or less than $15 a month. We're talking an increase in slip fees. It's hard for me to imagine where $15 a month will make or break a business. But if we want to give them the same lease rent or slip fee for this year because of the canceled season, I concur with staff with the recommendation that we implement the 3.7 CPI increase across the board for slip fees, but increase the discount from 15% to 17.5%. And that way we do take into consideration their concerns about increasing fees. And their increase would only be around $5 or $6 a month instead of the $12 to $13 a month. The letter mirrors the same comments that we received from last year and the comments we received in the public meetings on how the Harbor District can assist the fishermen at Pillar Point. And the bottom line was lessen our fees. Also, if you can give other amenities like ice or storage to fishermen, that would be greatly appreciated also. Looked into the ice and we looked into the storage, and it's not possible for us to do that. The slip fees, again, we've already given the 15%. So when we're talking, having another meeting and expanding more hours, we're talking about $13,000 overall, and that's not going to be a tipping point for the district either. So I think a fishing vessel can afford the full increase of $12 a month, but if not, increase the percentage fee would be the easiest for the district to implement.
So Jim, if I may, Tom, I understand where you're coming from, but this issue isn't going to go away. The increase, though, is going to, there's going to be a need for it. And so what I'm hoping is that we can at least have a meeting with the Half Moon Bay Seafood Marketing Association and whoever else wants to come as part of the commercial fishing fleet and talk about a more holistic approach to this, because every year we've talked about increasing by CPI every year because we need it. But, and I get it's only, less than $20 a month. I get that. That's not the issue. The issue is that this bigger problem is not going to go away. And like these agreements that Tom mentioned, if those are choices that the fishing industry is making, we need to know that. And I want to know what it is that's making them make these choices that are affecting their bottom line and our bottom line. I mean, we have to look at the Harbor District as a whole and what it means to us. And they've got a very specialized and narrow interest, but it affects us too. I would like more information because it's an externality that we cannot control, but they can, and how and why, how that affects us, and maybe, make them see also our need, right? But also, I just want to know what these types of, what other things there are, other external factors there are that would affect us that are not within our control. Actually, most of the external factors are not within our control. But if they are within theirs, we need to work.
They had the opportunity to present here today, and how many people do you see in the audience? Why is no one?
Well,
here?
when did we get Julie just said we got the
This
letter.
morning, right?
So I didn't
Yeah.
check when did we get the letter?
You didn't get it? No?
I don't know who sent it to you.
I think our Harbor email doesn't work.
Yeah, so check again, maybe it went into. Who did it come from? Did it come from?
HMB.
Did it come from Frank
SMA.
Sousa?
No, HMB SMA.
Yeah.
All right, so moving right along, it's either we're gonna implement this. If we went with increasing the percentage discount, we'd have to have that absolutely limited to 1 year, because we can't keep increasing the discounts.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Everyone,
Yeah.
the price of salmon in Oregon is insane right now. They're getting tremendous money.
I know, so what I'm saying is everything is year to year.
Yeah.
So I just want to understand the bigger picture with their input and collaboration. Because we can't go on like this either and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do this, but I'm not ready to do this now until I just want to know how we can get the externalities more within our,
We go through the same thing every single
Well, and
year, and
that's the
sometimes
problem.
people show up and sometimes they don't. So
really
there wasn't
better.
too much interest this year, or we would have had the room packed.
Challenges are that we're gonna have to look at least in the near foreseeable future, year to year. There's not gonna be any way to predict what California Fish and Game and NIMS and so will say about salmon season next year. So I kind of like the idea, if we have to do it year to year, at least for the next year or two, is we do it with the discount rate and not with the whole thing. So we assist the commercial folks. We reevaluate it. Like I said, I think technology will change that will open things up for them in the next few years.
If they can afford it after all of these increases.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the game they're gonna have to look at when it comes time to change technology certainly for the crab fishermen. But,
May I make a recommendation? So we're talking about the increase of the fees, which I think everyone agrees is not a very significant amount. We can change fees at some future date. If we don't adopt the fees today and we change them at the next meeting, which is June 12th, which is a very little window to develop the information and get the information together and to update the final budget, we're going to be rushed. But I think that the discussion about how to help the commercial fishing industry is a good discussion to have with commercial fishermen. So maybe we can have that separate from this adopting of the fees today and maybe give them some concessions at a later date and hear all of the information that goes into how we can better support them or their individual stories. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea, but I mean, we still have a month before we could meet with them next week and then approve something next month, right?
Well, June 12th is the next date of
Right.
our
Meeting.
June board meeting. So yeah, I mean, we can do that.
That's what I would do. That's what I would feel comfortable with if we can set the meeting with the finance.
I can add real quick that we did receive the letter from the Half Moon Bay Seafood Marketing Association last night at 5 p.m. The general manager received it and it shows that all commissioners were copied on it.
I didn't check my harbor board. I mean, 'cause I was getting ready for this meeting. And
Understood.
yeah.
But also I just received, because last night, the general manager, after receiving that letter, asked us to do research, to our staff to do some research to try to determine what other harbors are doing. So we put out the feelers, made calls, etc. And I see that just now during this meeting, I received information from Noyo Harbor District, who gives, not changing anything this year. They just normally give, and that's what they're continuing to do, is give a
Give what?
10% discount on their slip fees to their commercial fishers. The district does give 15% already.
So I'm less concerned about what other harbors do because we have our needs here that other harbors don't have, right? So to me, and I appreciate that information, but that's not what is swaying me with the letter that Julie read. What's swaying me is that we're dealing with this every year, and I get it. There are uncertainties, but we haven't really talked to the fishing, the Seafood Marketing Association about this. Like I said, I didn't know about these agreements. Maybe Tom told me about it before, but I didn't remember.
Tell you
But
what, let's just, we can't keep
Yeah.
feeding this into the ground. Let's defer this till next month, or we might have to have a special meeting if we can get this done sooner. Because
meet?
let's not defer it for a whole month.
No, I agree. If there's a way to set up a meeting with the Seafood Marketing Association next week, if this is that important to them, then they should want to meet with us immediately. That's how I look at it. If there's any way to do, I don't know what Jim's schedule is. Now, I don't even know who should be in the meeting. Should it go to the finance committee? You and I
No.
are on that. Okay, who should?
Special meeting.
Oh, okay,
There's
special.
no need to just do the finance committee and then report back to the board. It's, we'll hear some input,
Okay.
but, I think that you're also mixing some of these things up. The people that crabbed did well.
Right, I know.
That's not what that letter said.
Okay.
So you gotta pay
But I
attention
like
to the
your idea.
nuances.
I like your idea of let's have a special meeting with them.
All right, so we're gonna defer item 1 to a special meeting
Can we do it
in the next week or two. So moving on to discussion item G2.
Um, Is that a consensus, I guess?
Well, is there a motion?
I guess my concern is Julie's timeframe is getting budget met by getting it so that we can approve the budget by the 12th. Is that still gonna work for you, Julie?
Yeah, well, last year what happened is that we approved the fees at the budget meeting. So then we said, okay, well, let's incorporate the decrease in the fees. And so we basically had two budget documents, one to present to you and one that would be the final adopted budget. Not ideal, but not impossible either. So we can do that.
I agree with
Do
Tom.
we need
I'll
a
make it-
motion to reschedule this, or by acclamation, can we just?
I think, well,
It's just-
either way, but I guess to get clarity, it might be good to have a motion on what
Yeah.
the direction of the board is on this
Okay.
item.
I move that we defer discussion of this item to a special meeting to be called next week.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Wait, do we have any comments on this? Is there anyone in the public?
They're not allowed to do that anymore.
Okay.
President Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Jen Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Donrat,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke.
Aye. All right, moving on to,
Commissioner Matoush,
yes,
just for awareness and comment, most of the commissioners will be unavailable in the first part of the week. So the first available day for this meeting will be May 23rd. And unless otherwise directed, I'll be working towards setting up a special meeting, May 23rd at 10 a.m.
excellent. Okay, moving on to discussion item G2, commercial activity permit, Pillar Point Harbor Car Show. Store Manager Pruitt, your item.
Good afternoon again, or morning again still. I apologize for the confusion on that. The organizers for the car show approached the Harbor District and asked if they can host a car show in our parking lots. This is a result of the car show and air show being being eliminated this year due to permitting issues. They weren't able to get permits at the airport to do the annual event, so it was canceled. So the organizers minimized the event and removed the air portion and just would like to do the car show event. And with the Harbor District being relatively slow due to the cancellation of the salmon season and the restrictions on rockfish, our launch ramp is not as busy as we want it to be. So there's extra parking available on the weekends in the sea lots at Pillar Point Harbor, and we're able to accommodate this show in parking lots C1 and C2. And that's been confirmed with the harbor master. They would like to have the car show there. They would also like to have a wine booth and also a food truck in addition to the car show and music being played. I disagreed with them, or I recommend we do not approve the food truck as it's close and competes with our own restaurants in the harbor. But the wine booth is a major money maker for them, and it's away from the wine will be very restricted due to their ABC license. They won't be able to walk around the harbor with wine. They have to stay within the limits of the ABC license inside the car show. And then also that any funds received in relation to the wine or alcohol sales would be a fee of 5% coming back to the district. This is a nonprofit organization. It assists or sponsors and the senior programs on the coast side for senior citizens. And also Sea Hugger will be there with a booth supporting ocean cleanliness and beach cleanliness, water quality, and trash in the ocean and recovery. So it's also related to Sea Hugger. And I think it'll be a great event and draw a lot of people to Harbor, a lot of people down to our restaurants and to see what the Harbor is actively doing now with the restaurants open, with Ocean Cider open, the kayaks, and Maverick Surf Shop. So I think it's a great event for us for publicity and a great event for the community on the coast side. And recommend approval of the permit with the restrictions of no food booth or food truck, and approve the wine and beer sales if with a 5% fee on top of those. That's my report, pending any questions.
All right, comments?
I have a comment. So I think this is a great idea. And there are three things basically, Jim, that you're asking us to approve, which you just outlined. And I would approve 1 and 3, but I would not approve the restriction against an outside food truck. Their activity permit, I think, is asking for just 1 food truck. I'm a little worried that that the current tenant won't be able to meet the demands for food. And I don't know, I haven't talked to them, so I don't know, but I am concerned about that. I'm also concerned that there wouldn't necessarily be enough different price points for people. I don't know if it'll curtail competition for our current tenants. I think more people that come to the Harbor, the better. So I just, and I think in their lease, at least there should be in their lease, a provision that says that we are allowed to bring in food trucks. And it sounds like the activity permit only asks for 1 food, I think it's 1 food truck permit, right? If I read it correctly. I don't think that is going to get in the way of competition for our tenant. So I would vote yes to approve the application for the car show on July 21st, 2024, which I think is fantastic. And I'm glad we can accommodate, even though it's a downsized version, but at least there's going to be something. And I would vote yes to implement a 5% fee on the gross receipts of all alcohol sales. And I'm assuming that's for their wine booth. Is that correct?
That is correct. And in response to a couple of your comments and questions, yes, the lease does provide a provision that other food trucks are allowed on the property. And second, the current tenant did voice a concern of having the food truck on the property as competition for them.
Well, they knew that going into the lease, that
Yes.
provision, they knew that. And so I don't see 1 extra food truck being, that's going to make or break any of their competitive edge.
I just wanted to let you know, I did talk to the tenant and they did voice a concern.
Thank you. Those are my thoughts.
I agree with Virginia. It's the people that are inclined to go to a food truck are not necessarily the same crowd that's inclined to go to a sit-down restaurant. So I'm not so sure there's going to be that much competition between the two. There will be, having a car show, there's more people here. And a lot of those will say, I'd like to go sit down for it. And a lot of them would say, no, I'd rather just grab a bite off the food truck and talk to the people at the car show and walk around. And so I really don't see that as a competition. So
I concur. Maybe we can set it up that the food that the food truck serves may be a little bit different.
Way.
First of all, further away. I mean, the biggest challenge for everything we've been doing, bringing more people into the Harbor, and everybody I talk to has been not enough food. Yes, our restaurants are just still gearing up, but they're still not at the point where when you get so many people, they want to have drinks, they want to have, maybe it's a taco truck that the other guys don't serve. Maybe it's something that we can work together to have, that the type of food served by the food truck is a little bit different than the other. Price point is another very important.
Right, that's how I.
But I concur, we get a percentage of that, so that's not, us, but then, they signed a lease saying that we can have some food trucks. But you're right, I would put it, kind of spread it out a little bit. So, rather than not right next door to them. So that I concur.
I think that's a good
Just
point.
a point of clarification, President Matoush. the present tenants do have to go, so they'll both be to go. I'm recommending it's the food truck because of that reason. Their lease allows us to have food trucks. And I do both. I do food trucks and I do restaurants, so I'm that type of person, I guess. And if the board does approve a food truck, I recommend that we put the same percentage on gross sales, 5%.
For the food truck.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to
I'm good
interrupt
for
you.
that. I'm good with that. So, if we can revise, the approval to approving everything, one food truck and adding the 5% to the food truck as well.
So basically, the motion would be to approve the application for the commercial activity permit for the event with no restrictions for the one food truck and 5%, a 5% fee on the gross receipts of the alcohol sales and the food truck, correct?
Yes, one food truck.
Well, the permit says when I read the backup documentation, it says one food truck.
Yeah.
Do we know who the food truck or which food truck that'll be?
Well, the organization for a long time has always worked with Sam's.
Yeah,
Okay,
they told me Sam's.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, so that would be my motion. With also, if we can, I agree, placement of the food truck. So that the food is more spread out.
Separation.
Well, and that has to be thoughtful as well, because some people might think that, the food truck could be more advantageously placed for more convenience,
I
so.
think the cider place has a little bit to eat too, so it'd be a three-way. So it's fine.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, anyway, that's the
You're
motion.
saying,
Based on parking lot C1 and C2, the food truck's gonna have to be located at a place based on the slant of those parking lots. So, we'll make sure that it's an even and flat spot for both the food truck and the wine booth. And I think that's gonna be the driving force versus the distance from Pelagic or distance from Ocean Ciders.
Right. It's the terrain, I get it.
and then I did go by last night, I was in the harbor and I see that the kitchen and the dining room of the final facility with Pelagic is non-operational at this point. And I think that we were hoping it'd be operational in December. Anyway, it's not operational yet.
So so that may not be operational 2 months from now.
Who knows?
You're not gonna take that.
Anyway, so that's my motion.
Do we have a second?
They
on that?
It's scheduled to be open before then.
But will be open before then?
All the facilities at the tenant buildings will be operational before the car show.
Okay, well, I
We
still
have a
think,
motion and a second?
Second.
I have made the
She had the
motion.
motion.
Yes.
No, yeah. Who seconded
I'll
it?
second.
Okay.
So, roll call?
President Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Jane Corrali,
I,
Dominant,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Discussion item G3. That's our finance committee, review and provide direction to staff regarding investment options. And what we have is we have a chart that we did that compared, I didn't do, actually, Julie did it, that compared all of our investment options and our cost. So if you look at your chart, maybe I can interject at this time. Could we start numbering all of our pages? So we could say page 89 or something like that, but you
Yeah.
find that chart, the most advantageous one, in my opinion, is class. So
Yeah.
we're gonna make a little bit more. So
So,
You have any
Um,
discussion, or I'm still trying to find my page?
so can I chime in here, Tom? So I thought that would be the most advantageous, but I think that optimized, if I remember correctly, I've got such a bad head cold right now. Didn't Optimize say that they provided a service that class doesn't provide?
That is correct, yes.
Can you just review that service for me, please?
Right, so class is an investment pool,
Yeah,
similar to what we're doing in the county. The county is an investment pool. We put the money in, we take the money out. There is no managed service with that.
it's the finance.
Right, so Optimize, what they do is they're registered investment brokers, and they look at our cash flow, and they're much more detail oriented and saying, okay, well, I think you have, $1 million to invest for the next 60 days, and then you're gonna spend it. And so they would be doing this cash flow. They would be moving the money in and out of the investments as they see fit. They would be presenting the quarterly investment report as part of the board package. So those are the things right now. Since all our money is really in the investment pool, we aren't really looking at cash flows that much. We're not concerned about them because our property taxes just go in and we take wire transfers out as we need it to pay our bills. With the methodology that Optimize is presenting, the cash flow and the term of those investments would be more managed better, I guess, is the best way to say that. California class does right now have a higher expected return if we put it in, but tomorrow that could change. There's no guarantee. So these numbers are going to fluctuate, just like the county's investment pool. They have so many days out as the investments mature, they'll cash them in and then reinvest that money at the higher rates available in the market now. So those expected returns will fluctuate. We can have staff, we're limited to 12.5% coming out of our account per month. So we have about $500,000 per month that we can actually move into a different investment. So that kind of limits what we can move. But we could sign up for class and start moving extra money in there. Keep an eye on the investments. There's nothing to say that we have to keep the money in or we can take the money out. We can do it whenever. And we can move that money back and forth in between LAIF, the county, and class, because we have all those three pools available to us. And not really look at the detail of, I think I can do a CD for 30 days or the kind of management.
Do the higher expected returns, is that a little bit higher risk involved in those investments that they use? No, so risk isn't a worry for us.
No, that's not for me, it's going to be the difference between having an investment advisor working with our staff, right? That whose sole job, not staff, but the investment advisor, which would be Optimized Partners, investment partners, that would be, they would be providing advice. We don't have cash management needs now, but we might later. But it does beg the question, if we don't have cash management needs, do we need an investment advisor? I actually think having the differential is not, I mean, it's, I don't want to say it's small, but it's not huge to the point where, that it's going to hurt us. But I do think that having an investment advisor might help us I could go either way. But I don't know, Julie, if we were to go with optimized investment partners, how do you envision them working with our staff?
If I can make my recommendation before Julie goes, Commissioner Matoush,
Please.
I reviewed and listened to the presentations, both from Optimize and from California Class, and they're both are extremely well qualified. But my overall recommendation would be Optimize investment partners because of that financial advice part and management. They will give us a lot more hands-on use, and they
That's what I
have
was
open
thinking.
to their investment, part of their investment tools that they use are Class as one of their portfolios is Class, and they can invest in Class for us and also give us management if we should be putting it there. My main concern, and I think it's a very big concern with Optimize, is their whole company was at the presentation and it was 2 people. Since then, they've hired another person. So their company consists of 3. They plan on hiring more as they grow, but right now it's 3 people. And that causes me a lot of concerns in case one of our 2 of them or 3 of them become incapacitated. So that is a concern. But other than that, I would recommend that the district go with Optimized. And with that, I'll turn it over to Julie.
So Jim, I agree. That's the direction I'm leaning towards. I'm less concerned about the number of people because these boutique firms usually have a small number of people. I mean, I wouldn't want more than 5 because then overhead becomes a problem and fees will be raised. But what I do want to hear from Julie is how she envisions her team working with optimized investment partners. Because I don't want them to be a replacement for our team, and I don't want them to be viewed as that. They're advisors to our team.
Right. So right now, as I said, the money automatically goes into our county investment pool, and then we ask for money out. And we reconcile our bank accounts once a month. So what they're providing us is something above what our team's doing.
Right.
What we're not doing is we're not trying to get those short-term cash needs invested in maybe say a CD ladder or something, so that we know that this month we need $1 million and next month we need $2 million. And so they'll look at the detail, what we've done with them for them to provide this presentation that's attached. We upload a file, they take that file, they put it in their computer system, it does the cash flow. We talk to them, it will be primarily Boomer and Ray talking to them and letting them know, and we'll have to keep John very much involved because of the cash flow needs of capital projects, because that's our biggest swing.
Yeah.
And so we'll be feeding that information. They'll be giving us advice of what they think we should invest in. They said they don't want to put anything risky because our number one thing is we want our money to be secure. We don't want to be losing money. And so that's the way I envision it working.
Okay.
And they'll keep our investment policy up to date. We just.
All of these other things.
Yeah, the little things. And, I did update the investment policy, but they may take a look at it and think that it could be tweaked a little bit more than it has been and stuff like that. So.
When I look at the 7,000 less than staff time, first thing that came into my mind is how are these guys going to work with our auditors to make sure that everything's on the up and up?
Yeah, well, and so one of the things that the reports that the auditors actually require is valuing our investments at market. And so that will be in addition to what they're reporting. And I'm sure that there will be conversations between the investment analysts and our outside auditor.
My preference would be to go with optimized, even just because the service I think they can provide will be worth the little bit less or less of the in percentage that we would get. But that's, I guess that's me. And Jim is right, class, and they mentioned this, class is a pool that they could tap into and put money into. So we wouldn't be losing an opportunity with class. We would just be gaining more of a financial advisory service, which I think would be beneficial to the Harbor District.
Also note that they can tap into the county pool and LAIF also, right?
We could, or they would advise us to maybe take less out. Or if we take the 12.5% allocation, right? How do you divide it? Or is it less that you take out so that, let's say it's 10% and you keep the 2.5% in the other county pool or lake, but the other 10% could be divided into other areas. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like in terms of the return, but that's the kind of advice they could give us. That's how I read it.
Yeah.
Well, is everyone comfortable? Do we need a motion to say, let's proceed more with optimized investment?
Yeah, basically it's direction to staff, right? So
I would agree with that.
direction,
So
what are we
using
waiting
optimized.
for last? An agreement with them if we move forward? We have to approve an agreement next month, or how do we do that?
I believe that the amount of the agreement will be within the
Spending
authority
limit.
of our spending limit. So we'll just move ahead with that plan and we'll get an
$10,000
agreement with Optimize and move forward.
Are you okay with, not to exceed 10,000, right? Yeah, that's the,
Mhm.
are you okay? Is everyone okay? That's what I would do.
All right, that takes care of items in discussion.
So do you have direction?
Now, we've got, item H, closed session, so we'll recess for a closed session.
Oh, how about,
Commissioner Mathush, item 7.
yeah,
7.
item 7.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we had to come back in an open session anyway, but we can do, F7. So, problem I had with F7 is we've got a current leaseholder that's, looking at $1,800, and I'm puzzled why he's on here and how this came about. And, do people just get to decide how and when to not pay their passenger service fees?
I agree with Tom. That was a concern of mine too. Herman, and it's not just at both, it's both here at Pillar Point and Oyster Point. So how,
Worked out of Oyster Point for a while and then came back to Pillar Point.
right, but they're asking for it for both.
Yeah, I don't know why it's on there. It's the Harbor District.
Yeah, but they broke it down between the two. So how do we determine who? Why are we writing off an active tenant? I guess is my question.
I described the process a little, so.
Great.
And so basically when we have a boat in the harbor, we go through a lien process to put a lien on that boat. If it's a documented boat, it's a different process. But Todd Korth had a boat that he shared a slip. The boat shared a slip between Oyster Point Marina and Pillar Point Harbor, and this is my understanding. He sold that boat, but he didn't pay off his balance. We tried to collect that balance with no success. So we sent that balance to our collection company, but it's still sitting on our books. But it is a good point that Todd Korth is still a tenant
Great.
in our harbor. I don't know if legally we can move the balance that is associated with a different slip in a different boat to his account. Currently, it seems sensible that we should be
It's
able
the
to.
same business.
No, I think that, he, forms little, corporations regularly, so it'd probably be a different LLC.
Okay, well, whatever, he's still the active tenant. I'm not willing to write off his,
I believe it explained we're not forgiving that debt, but I guess what success rate do we have in collecting this? At what point do you start collection? I mean, how long? It seems like some of these numbers are pretty high, not the big numbers, but then the medium-sized numbers are pretty high too. And that seems like that's many months of in arrears, and after 2 months, we don't kick them out or something, or how? I guess what's the plan, the policy and process? I don't know.
especially as the demand grows,
That's true.
right?
Pretty high, percentage wise, people wanna, so
We've had some accounts that have been problems for years. And we've been working diligently on that with help of our WG. They have a whole team helping us. Part of the issue and part of the problem is if somebody lives on their boat, whether it's legally or not legally, if they live on their boat, then you have to go through this whole process of getting them off that boat. And it takes about a year to get them off. If we're lucky, sometimes they disappear and leave their boat behind, and then we, have to figure out how to destroy the boat. And if it's a documented boat, it's not eligible for safe grants. And so there's a lot of different pieces that come into the decisions of being able to write these boats off. And there's some that have, like Terry Ann Francis has been at Oyster Point Marina for a very, very long time.
$15.
Yeah, for free. They've been at Oyster Point. But once we get past this little hurdle of, addressing these, because we have had like changes in district council over the years. And so right now we have a lot of momentum with our WG and helping staff get through these very difficult processes.
How many of these tenants are from Oyster Cove?
I don't think any of them.
I-
It's,
No, but
Yeah,
here,
no.
that was part of another report.
when we have somebody, I see 19, 13, 7, are these people still residents? Or, do we have a process to get them out of the harbor altogether?
So, I mean, we are working on that, but it is difficult if there's somebody that is living on their boat. But we're working with staff very closely to have boats removed when they're not paying and have people evicted when they're not paying.
I mean, like the first one at Oyster Point for 19,531. I guess the thing is, if there's a pattern of writing this debt off, then they're just not going to care. They'll just they'll just write it off.
Well,
I think, yeah.
yeah, and so the write-off is, we've done everything we can internally to try to get the money.
Yeah.
We've sent them letters. We've tried to take hold of their possessions and their boats. We ran out of options. So we have a collection company that's what they do, is they try to collect balances, and I don't know how they do it, but they could probably do phone calls and letters and yeah, they're not very successful often either. But these are the balances that we think we're just never going to
Get.
These people, they've disappeared. We can't contact them. They're already in our financial system as doubtful accounts. So they're written off from a financial point of view, that it's doubtful that we will collect this money. We have a balance still in our accounting system But this removes that balance and we still keep a list of it from the collection point of view. And if collections is successful, they'll send us some of that money back, but we haven't seen much money coming back, truthfully.
Seems to me, wasn't our write-off last year around 100,000?
Mhm.
Oh,
I mean, do we want to write off Todd?
can't hear you.
I mean, we have a tenant who's still an active tenant and wants a write-off.
If I could just clarify, I think what Julie's saying is a write-off isn't forgiving the loan, it's just
I
a book
understand.
keys. Okay.
It's in the report,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is, this could be a pattern for us with this particular tenant.
Can we add a balance?
I don't think you could, right? Because your agreements are with, you have to look at the entity. If they're different entities, you couldn't hold a different entity responsible for
Right?
payments by the one you have an agreement with. That's something maybe we could look at in
For
the
this
future.
one,
Can we,
Can't we-
start looking at this as an overall to, add personal liability to every
Yeah.
single person who's got a slip?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Boomer. Hi. I just want to confirm for the Todd Korth accounts, it is for a different vessel. So the accounts that he has active with us right now are for different vessels. And I think that's why.
Such a bad example that we're setting when we're dealing with, the fee increases and you've got an active tenant that, we're now writing a bad debt, writing off bad. I mean, it's ridiculous.
We don't have a process where an active tenant that doesn't pay, we can't move them to an anchorage versus a dock and something like
Why
that.
is he still a tenant then?
Right.
Well, the thing is, he got rid of this boat, so
Okay.
there's nothing to move.
Oh, I see.
This is like, I don't feel like paying my bill.
Yeah.
And it was the corporation who owned the boat, not the individual. So we can hold the corporation, but the corporation's no longer in existence. The other,
I think some of that's intentional too. but whatever.
most definitely. These write-offs were significant issues 4 years ago. And we've been actively working on trying to reduce the number of write-offs that we do. And it's very, very difficult based on California law to evict a tenant from a vessel and then also to get possession of the vessel or require the vessel to leave. We're not allowed to tow the vessel out of the harbor. And if we did, we wouldn't have any place to take it. And we can't physically force a vessel owner or corporation to move their vessel out of the harbor. So we are actively trying to, our goal is to, for those tenants that aren't paying their slip fees, is either get their account current or to either remove or destroy their vessels. They can remove the vessel, take it out to wherever they need to take it, or if they refuse to do that, we have a couple different options. Those tenants that have just left and their boat sitting there, after 30 days, we could declare it abandoned and then we take possession. Or tenants who do mind their vessels, we terminate their slip agreement and work towards evicting them and forcing them to leave through the court system. But all those take a lot of time and it's very expensive. And these lists are getting smaller. These individuals, we're actively trying to, especially at the 19 and 13 level and 7,000 level, trying to get their vessels removed from the harbor and open up that slip for somebody who is willing to pay for it.
All right, well, I guess, we're working as hard as we can. We got bamboozled,
Can we
but
approve
not
this?
permanently, hopefully. So is there a
Can we,
motion to approve item F7?
well, can we approve it without the writing off for one tenant? The active tenant?
Well, I think it's.
I'd ask Julie, I mean, as a legal matter,
Goes to
as a Brown Act matter, you can.
Yeah, we can put Ted Korth on a future write-off report.
That he's still in collection if he has to apply for something.
He's still in collections, yes. Mhm.
Motion to approve item F7.
Also move.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chan Carley. Aye. Commissioner Domrat. Commissioner Zemke.
Aye.
President Mathush.
Aye. All right, now that we've taken care of that, should we break for closed session?
Yes.
Recording
stopped. Press.
All right, we came back from our closed session. There's no reportable items. So now we're on future agenda items. Does anybody have any topics they'd like us to pursue in the future?
Wasn't there one item that you brought up?
Yeah, the Oyster Cove update.
Oh, update on the, I guess, closeout of where we stand with the Oyster Cove.
Yeah, but so I was
transplants.
gonna say, should we, because I think that we gave direction to staff to just give an update.
An
on the
update.
report, but maybe we should have it as an agenda item. I don't know. It may not warrant that. I don't know. That's,
Well, they can put it on, I guess, the consent calendar, the consent agenda. We can pull it off and discuss it.
if we need to,
if we
yeah.
need to.
I mean, I would be open to that.
Yeah.
Because we have not had that update since, so if you want to do that and make a motion to put that on the future agenda, I'll
I'd like
second
to-
that.
Just to prove that, I suggest that we have a staff update to be included in the consent calendar for next meeting on the status of the Oyster Cove
Tenant.
tenants that have come over to Oyster Point Marina.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call for that.
President Mathush.
Aye.
Commissioner Chan Carley.
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke.
Aye.
Commissioner Domrat.
A question for Mr. Moran and maybe Jim, which may lead to a topic. Maybe we get just a status report. Are we at 100% definite no dredging and Surfer Beach project for this year?
Yes.
And do we need a staff report next June? Because at that point, we would have been in dredging already by June. Is that correct? June, July timeframe. So, do we need to do anything to tie things up this year? What do we need to do to get ready then for permitting and stuff for next year? I mean, kind of what the schedule be. Maybe just a staff report as to
Consultant Damage is working very hard at
figuring the next steps.
and still in further discussion with all the permitting agencies and what permits may need to be extended, et cetera. So I think it would be prudent for him to
Give us a little overview.
maybe
of it.
next month or the following month. The general manager is obviously in discussion as well with consultant Damage. So we'll talk more with Brad, consultant Damage, and then the general manager will direct us on when to bring it back so the public and the board is up to date.
One of the things that we put on our dredging is we wanted the public to know the problems we were having. Now, do we need to update that and say the reason the project didn't go through this year is due to the State Water Control Board not opening an email?
Yeah,
Is it
actually-
that specific?
Actually.
I would, because-
Consultant Damage did provide an update to Melanie to update the project on our website with that more updated information.
Right.
Okay.
I think too.
We didn't put anything, in our discussions, there's a lot of things throughout this project that we as staff and the board and the public have been disappointed with. That it's taken this long. It's
this
Obviously-
phone is literally almost over 10 years.
ridiculous. That said, it's important also, though, to understand that there's been staff changes with the different permitting agencies, even some recent changes, and it's very important that we understand the fact that we must continue to cultivate these relationships with these permitting agencies, individuals, and not necessarily diminish our ability to continue to work with them in an amicable manner. So we don't want to necessarily, it does us no good to,
The ruffle feathers.
well, we want to make sure that, that we do express our disappointment,
Yeah.
but then not go overboard
Word in.
with, and we have explained, I believe, we've explained here, as Brad has in the last couple meetings, where he gave updates, and he'll continue to do in our updates, express the disappointment that we've had in the process, and the shortcomings of those process. But we, again, don't necessarily want to, try to point out any specific things that maybe could have been done better. We are talking behind the scenes to those permitting agencies about how they could potentially improve upon their processes.
The public in general is incredibly disappointed in this, and it's not our fault. And I want to see people's names on that board that people can express their discomfort with.
I'll pass that on to Consultant Damas so that we can maybe become in more detail with that. And not only that, but it's also costing our San Mateo County taxpayers
I know, that's
$800,000 that we have just lost in construction costs.
That's important.
So
BW grant.
maybe some bullet points that Mr. Damitz can put together that we can show that then the media can use. Those kinds of numbers. The challenge is it's if it hasn't become political, it's going to become political real quick.
I think.
Yeah.
And so whether it's from state or federal level, a lot of different activities, it's a political year. Every year is a political year, but this year for our region with congressional interests and our county representatives, yeah, the public is very frustrated. We're very frustrated. So I think, I concur. We want to continue working with these agencies, express to them that this is very important to us, and it is a demonstration. This is something that the various agencies are looking towards to see how it functions and how we can take that and carry it into the future. So
Understood. And ideally,
Commissioner Domrock, President Matoush, what I recommend is that staff prepare for you a monthly report for each board member on exactly where the project lies and what permits are still outstanding and why they're outstanding. I'm not, our consultant, Mr. Damitz, does a fantastic job, but I think the report needs to come from staff, and we'll incorporate our consultant's input, but we can give the board a monthly update on exactly where the project is and where the current permitting hangups are.
I would suggest that we put that in our board, like make it a separate agenda item. And
Correct.
just as an information item so that the public can read that as well.
Correct. It'll be a standalone staff report on that specific topic. I will put it in the consent calendar, providing the board and the public an update of exactly where the project is and why it's at that stage and what permits are outstanding, and keep that way the information you're asking for will be a specific agenda item and be open and honest with the public on why the dredging hasn't started this week. I've been responding to a lot of comments on Nextdoor, putting out why and what's outstanding on the dredging, because there's a lot of concern on those public websites also, and I've been responding to those.
and to be clear, I can put together a staff report that pretty much mirrors what I write already in my monthly capital improvement project update that you guys were all provided. I did update that.
Yes.
However, not in extreme detail. I can get much more into detail next month as the general manager is directing now, and the board obviously is requesting. So I could go into more detail.
Exactly.
Does the board also wish for the consultant that knows all the detail to give a presentation and update on the project and be able to answer any further questions that you may have? Do you want Brad to be here next month for the meeting or not.
Oh, I think that's a good idea.
I don't really see any value in it. Just the whole thing is who's responsible for delaying us? And these are the names we want displayed prominently.
Yes, and
for
we,
the council,
staff is more than capable of providing that information in a staff report.
right?
And that works. Maybe a slight caveat to that, if we're sure by the next meeting that we're 100% done for this year and we're ending it, at that point, maybe Brad can come in and say, okay, we're not doing it this year and here's what we're gonna do. So.
We've already,
But if there's still a little window of opportunity that something may get done this year, then maybe we're okay. So,
I think for the last two board meetings, I've stated that it's a no-go for this year. And then also we put it out to the public that it's a no-go for this year based on. We stated that at the last board meeting. And again, in our staff report, that could be the first line, that it's not going to happen this year. As previously related other meetings.
Is there any chance we can pursue the 800,000? Is that?
We've submitted a formal request to the state asking for that money, but we've already got several years of extension on it. Now it's at a point where they legally cannot give us another extension.
Is it possible to go after the State Water Control Board?
Oh, that's what
And,
I'm wondering.
ask for that amount and possibly punitive?
You could ask for it, but nothing will happen.
And I think that's probably something that we could address in the staff report next time. I mean, we don't know that right now. We don't know the answer. I think Jim's probably right, but because this is a future agenda item, I think we should probably just vote to put it on a future agenda and discuss these issues then.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Do you want to vote now?
No, I can just, Jim's discretion.
Got it. That's fine. Okay. Okay.
So if there's no more items,
Well, I'll
Perhaps-
move to adjourn.
I'd just like to say for the public watching, you may see some of us wearing life jackets. We should tell them there's no tsunami coming today, so we're not gonna float away, but maybe they want to know.
wear your life jacket
Wear your
to
life
work
jacket.
day.
Yes.
Okay, well, not to work day, but okay. I'll move to adjourn at 12:28.
Second.
Roll call.
President Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
All right.
Mr. Domrat,
Aye.
Mr. Giancarlo.
Aye. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Use your gavel.
Oh, yeah, 90 gallons in this.